episode of The Flash of Two Mics. As always, I'm your host, Adam, and with me is my co-host, Donnie. Donnie, how's it going?
What's up, Flash fans? It's Gorilla Grodd's stunt double. It's the Emerald Enthusiast.
Hey, listen, put you in a gorilla suit, and I don't see why not.
I could do it.
Yeah. All right,
I'd work for free to be on the Flash. I tell you.
I'm probably just don't tell them that. I mean, if you can get paid for your work, then get paid. But unless you're Steven, because I ain't gonna pay Steven. But, it's just here it goes. But usually when we get together for a Flash episode, it's usually to review back issues of the comics. We're going to change that up a little bit this week because we're going to talk about the premiere episode of Season 7 of The Flash. So, Donnie, how I figure we'll probably do this going forward. We'll probably do a couple episodes at a time from now on out, like we did with WandaVision. And we'll cover multiple episodes at a time. But because it was the premiere, we thought we'd give it the special attention that a premiere episode of the season deserves. So that's what we're going to do today. In terms of news, the only news regarding the Flash in terms of live action, aside from the show being back, there's two pieces of news. One is that John Wesley Shipp will be on an episode of Stargirl, bringing Stargirl into the DC TV multiverse, and he will be playing his Jay Garrick character.
A welcome development.
Oh yeah! Anytime I get to see John Wesley Shipp as now I got to call him a Flash, because he's either Barry Allen or Jay Garrick. But anytime I get to see him as a Flash, it's a welcome sight, because he's, as the kids say, my Flash.
Right.
So not to take anything away from Grant Gustin or Ezra Miller or Michael Rosenbaum's voice or any of those things. I'm just saying, for me, I think of Flash, I think of John Wesley Shipp. So that's like the whole crossover, multiverse crossover, bringing Stargirl into it is exciting, and then having him be the one to do it is even more makes it even more exciting, in my opinion. What about you?
Oh, likewise. I mean, for people in my age range who didn't have a lot of live action superheroes growing up, that was, really my first experience with the Flash in live action. There was a previous one on, what was that special? It was called like the Legion of Superheroes, but that wasn't nearly as serious as the old Flash TV show. I mean, obviously it was campy in parts, but that show, I very much enjoyed it, even though it was only one season. Yeah.
Oh, I wish it would have gone more seasons, but hey, listen, now they're doing Superman 78 and Batman 89 comics. How about a Flash 90 comic? Come on, DC, let's go.
I'm down with that.
We'll read it, we'll review it, you'll get free press there. If you want to, so get on that, DC. The only other bit of Flash live action news would be recently the Flash movie cast actress by the name of Sasha Calle as Supergirl for the Flash movie. So because Steven and I have talked about it, several times. But what are your thoughts on that? Because I'm excited, but where are you in terms of...
Oh, I like the idea of Supergirl getting more screen time. She's another favorite of mine. Not top 10, but I very much like her. We don't know specifically if this is Kara Zor-El, but if she is, I think she could be great. I looked up the actress, and all right, I'm podcasting. Go away. Somebody's trying to call me.
Unless it's somebody, a DC representative, wanting to send you free statues for product.
Yeah. You want to send me free stuff? Yeah, so.
You can interrupt the show for that, Donnie, if that comes to it. Just like if Margot Robbie calls me and says we're going out tomorrow night, yeah.
You're gonna leave me hanging, aren't you?
Well, hey, listen. There are only a few things that you and Steven are on your own for, and they involve me on a date with Margot Robbie and Alexa Bliss, which I thought was going to happen the other night because Michael Hutchinson shut out Connor McDavid, but that's neither here nor there. But anyway, Continue.
No, I welcome, another version of Supergirl or another version of Kara. I think it's fine. I really like the idea of, her kind of being rebooted as a character. Obviously, we have a great version on TV, but for her to be back in the movies, again, I very much welcome that idea. So
yeah, and her interaction with, her being a younger hero. I mean, I don't know what her age is going to be in the film, but presumably one of the younger heroes.
Yeah.
Introduced with the Flash, who in the DC films universe is a younger hero per se.
Right.
That could be a really good dynamic, and if she, the Flash, and old man Bruce Wayne and Michael Keaton share a screen time, his reaction to a Supergirl, because presumably he hasn't seen a Superman in his universe, so to see somebody of that power set will be, I can imagine, an interesting reaction.
Yes.
From his Batman. So that would be, all that is entertaining to me, and I say bring it on. And the Flash movie has in fact started a form of production. So Donnie, this time it's happening. You got to give props to Walter Hamada, because since he's been at DC Films, he's getting, to use the more PC term, he's getting crap done, over there.
Yeah, we're keeping it PG-13 or PG. Yeah.
So good on him, and it's about time the Flash is starting to run in his own movie. So yeah,
most definitely. I'm very comforted by the fact that we seem to be moving back towards a sense of normality, both with TV and the movies. That there's some direction now. So
yeah. And so we'll be covering, of course, anytime we hear news regarding the Flash movie, we will, of course, cover it on one of these shows. So keep an eye, depending on how you're consuming the show, out for that information when it comes down, and you'll get our opinions on it.
Yes. And if you're not hearing us here on YouTube, if you're not seeing this vidcast, look for us on iTunes and Podbean.
Yeah. Agreed. Great shameless plug. You're the master of that. So, I tried on a couple episodes recently. I don't know how I did, Donnie, but I tried.
Hey, shameless plugs, they're shway.
And yes, all of our viewers, listeners can't see, but I am drinking a coffee. So make all the Canadians and their coffee jokes you want. No, I did not have a Timbit, in case any of you people are wondering with your stereotype-filled comments there. No, it wasn't. It was a donut, but it wasn't a Timbit. So there's a difference, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, enough about my coffee and dessert preferences. Let's now transition from the films to the television series, because, as I alluded to, the first episode of Season 7 premiered on Tuesday, right before Superman and Lois. What a night of TV that is.
Yes.
And you combine that with your Young Rock, and that's a trifecta of fun. And so, Donnie, set us up. What happened in Season 7, Episode 1 of The Flash? What's going on?
I got to tell you, I just want to say before we get into this that I was just so relieved to see the flashback. To see the flashback on, not the flashback, although we did see some flashbacks.
Yeah.
To see the flashback on the air. I mean, this has been my favorite show for a number of years now. There are other shows that are close to it, but this is kind of the top of my list right now. And
is that mainly because Flash is one of your, top DC characters aside from Green Lantern? Is that why?
Oh, yeah,
is that
definitely.
Mainly? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for a while it was The Walking Dead, but The Flash kind of overtook it as it developed over time. I'm hoping at some point maybe it'll be Superman and Lois, because he's another one of my favorite DC characters.
Sorry, Flash, but it's Superman and Lois is already it for me. It's already done in 2 episodes, but yeah, it's good. Flash is still up there.
Right. So, yeah, so, this opens up with Barry still having his speed drained. He was at 1%. And we still have Iris trapped in the Mirrorverse. So what was your early thoughts of the very first, few scenes of this, Adam?
Well, it definitely signaled to me that this was like it picked up right where season 6 left off. This was more a continuation of the end of season 6 than it was a proper, season 7 premiere, because they were pretty much, they're in the process. I think there's one more episode of wrapping up season 6. So this wasn't, it wasn't a premiere in the traditional sense of the word.
Right.
Is what I noticed.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Flash, being that low on speed, really sucks. And one of the obvious tenets of the character is his speed. So you take that away, it's taken a key function,
right?
A key life function. For you can tell, for him to move at normal speed and do things, it's not always a problem. Like when he's with Iris, it's different, but you can imagine having that speed and being able to tap into it whenever you want.
Yes.
And
now, obviously, he was still trying to, rejuvenate his speed. We see that Wells is working on the artificial speed force, as well as Chester. But, at this point, Barry was, very desperate to rectify the situation. Obviously, he was very much anxious to get Iris back.
Yeah.
So we see that Barry's willing to still make the choices regardless of whether or not he was, endowed with his speed.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So that's kind of a reminder of how much of a hero Barry is. It's not just about the superpowers.
No. He's still very heroic, and like I said, he was willing to sacrifice his last remaining percentage of speed, to do the right thing. My only point was, imagine being able to run like that and then suddenly have to do everything at normal speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would be jarring. That's what it takes nothing away from his heroics or his heroic nature. So definitely not,
And this was also a nice spotlight, I think, for Chester and Allegra, since we didn't see. Did we see Caitlin on this episode in anything but flashbacks? I don't think we did.
We did not see Caitlin, no.
Yeah, we didn't see Caitlin or Cisco, right? We didn't see.
No Cisco. But remember, at the time that this probably was filmed, she was pregnant and probably off at that point.
Right.
And the actress is pregnant, not Caitlin.
Right. It also makes sense to reduce the number of people on set, obviously, with COVID. So
plus there are a lot of side characters on this show. I mean, if I have one complaint, maybe they could pare it down.
Well, Tom Cavanaugh was doing about a dozen just himself. So
yeah, but I'm talking, everybody else.
Right, right.
You've got Cisco 2.0. You've got Caitlin. You've got now her kind of. For now, I'm not trying to belittle the character, but for now, her standing like Chester and what was the other one's name?
Allegra.
Right now they seem to be in this episode. They're essentially standing in for Caitlin and Cisco. That's basically their function. So what I'm saying is, this show could do with a trimming of. I don't want to leave anybody unemployed, but they could do with a trimming of their secondary cast.
Sure. Well, speaking of trimming, the kind of central theme of this show is that for the Flash to get his speed back with the artificial speed force, Nash Wells has to die. And so that is what they deal with in this episode is there any other way to avoid Wells dying? And I really thought that ended well. I mean, you really had some really powerful dialogue toward the end here between Barry and Wells.
Yeah. And I thought that it's very full circle, and if you think of Tom Cavanaugh, and before I say what I'm going to say, he's not leaving the show. He's still on set.
Sure.
There's probably going to be another one of the Wells or a new Wells is gonna pop up in some way, shape, or form, because he's not leaving the show. He's still.
But I doubt we see the Council of Wells anymore.
Yeah, the
at least for a while.
Wells. Yeah. I mean, the only council we're going to see is the Council of Atoms, and it's trying to figure out what multiverse Y ends up on what Earth, and that's what. If anything, that's what you're going to see. But so I don't think Tom Cavanaugh is leaving. That's not what I'm saying. No. But there was a nice full circle moment when you think about his first appearance on the show, where he was actually playing Thawne, and secretly he was trying to get rid of his end game was to eventually get rid of Barry, like usurp him, right?
Right. And
now in Wells' finale, he's sacrificing himself to save the Flash. There's a nice, full circle aspect of it there that I like.
Yeah, nice symmetry there.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Thank you.
As well as there's a line that I have to point out. Of course, it's "Run, Barry, run." We saw that. Again, we saw Thawne use that in the very first episode of The Flash.
But is it really a Flash premiere if you don't say that line? I mean,
right.
It's like when I sign off of this show, if I don't say, from the first to the last episode, I mean, is the show really over?
Right. And if I don't make up some, balderdash to begin the show, I mean, is it really a Comics Corner or a Flash of Two Mics, whatever? So, But I really have to point out these lines. Barry said, Nash, please, I can't let anyone else die for me. I've already lost so many people. And Nash comes back and says, do you know what I feel right now? Pride. Honor, and it's been a long time since I felt those things. I just really thought that was some powerful writing there.
Yeah. I mean, it really echoes the long history, not only the long history of heartache that the Flash has had in 7 years, losing people that he loves, but also the history between the Wells and Team Flash.
And also, I want to say that scene was a great showcase for Cavanaugh with all the and I like the CGI, by the way, the halo effect as his mind was changing and you saw him go between the various versions. Yeah. And by the way, earlier on in the episode, which I also thought was funny, when Barry had his neural wavelengths when he was acting like the various versions of Wells, I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I agree. No, it again, it shows the versatility of Tom Cavanaugh. He's a great actor. I in terms of sheer ability as an actor, I think he's the best one on the show.
Well, a lot of people would. I would go with Joe. That myself.
He's up there too.
Yeah, I would say he's probably the best of the ones on the show.
The most seasoned, yeah.
Right, but obviously, the older actors on this show, they have obviously a lot more experience. So.
But in terms, I mean more in terms of what he has to do with all the versions.
Yes.
I mean, no offense to who plays, what's the guy's name that plays Joe?
Oh, I'm blanking now. Wish you hadn't asked me that because he's one of my favorite actors.
Everybody knows, but I'm just saying. In terms of when he comes on the show, he's playing, Joe West, and there's there's typically, unless it's an alternate universe story,
Jesse L. Martin, by the way.
Yeah, Jesse L. Martin. Yes. Unless it's an alternate universe, he's playing pretty much the standard version of Joe West.
Yes.
With Tom Cavanaugh, he's had to play so many versions of Wells, sometimes in an episode, sometimes more than one in one season. It's impressive how he juggles and how they're all different from each other.
Right. Yeah. But I would be impressed by, Jesse Martin, just as an aside here, like the times when he's had to, interact with Grodd, because, again, Grodd's one of my favorite villains. And, those scenes with a CGI character like that, they wouldn't work if Jesse Martin wasn't selling it to you. And so that's why I just love his appearances on the show. And, again, he's kind of the mentor to everyone on the show, so I just really like that. But anyway, back to the show here. We do see the many versions of Wells die towards the end. And again, I just really like that dialogue here. And so we also get more of Eva in the Mirrorverse. Obviously, Iris is still there. We got to see the continuation of that. This was going to be originally, I think a lot of this particular content was going to be the season finale. Did we address that of season 6?
Yeah, we did. We did.
Yeah. So it kind of had that feel of wrapping things up, in particular with the Wells thing, that you had to have kind of that big character moment there.
Yeah.
And obviously, the Flash does get his speed back with the sacrifice that Wells makes.
Right.
So, yeah, very, very much a tearjerker there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, no, I looked online when the episode finished to see if there had been any news about Tom Cavanaugh leaving the show, and I didn't see any.
Okay, yeah.
So I was comforted there, but because as I was watching the episode, I was like, wait a minute. So you're telling me to pare down your enormous cast, you're taking one of the characters that I really like and find entertaining?
Right. Well,
how dare you? How dare you? It was my...
There's no way this show ends without more Reverse Flash. He's simply too important to the Flash mythos to say, we're never going to see that character again. I mean, you're talking about, the Joker, the Sinestro, the Green Goblin type of character that will always find its way back. So, yeah. Also, good acting. I really like the scene towards the end with Cecile. Her counseling there towards the end. And using her empath powers, her acting was just really great. So, what did you think of that?
No, she's another strong character and strong actor, on the show. I like how they've worked her into the show, like as a later addition, and now having her have this ability, because at first when I realized that she when they gave her powers, I'm like, oh, like really?
Right.
Another like, can't wait. One of my chief complaints was the more people you throw on here with powers on this one show, the less special the Flash becomes.
Right.
But
I can see your point of view.
But
I don't have a problem with it as long as the characters rotate in and out.
Yeah.
So,
but she's been written so well and handled so well that I ended up being 100% fine with it. So you're right. If it's written well, it could work.
I just feel really bad for Joe. The fact that
he's the only poor sap without powers. Yeah.
well, no, but the fact that his significant other can read his mind. That's not good.
Because if they're out at the supermarket and Joel sees an attractive woman walk by and doesn't look or doesn't say anything, but thinks, "Oh man, she's hot," he's screwed, man. So
if you're together for a long time, eventually you're going to have disagreements, and obviously certain thoughts based in anger will go through your head, and I don't think it's a great thing to have your partner be able to read your mind.
He's got to wear one of those caps, Donnie. Those blocking. When they go out to those. I think he had one last season, didn't he?
Oh yeah, Maybe he could get like a permanent one from the Thinker or something like that.
Yeah, listen. It's only fair. Like, we got to level the playing field here. Like, what is this?
Right.
Yeah. I sympathize with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, but there was also some big heroic, how can I phrase it? Superhero action.
Right.
In the series, in the episode, I should say. So let's talk our way a bit through that. So, set the scene. What was Barry's sort of? Actually, before we do the big action set piece. What do you make of Iris still being stuck there and her seemingly being confused?
Yeah.
Like, at one time not knowing that she was seemingly in the void, in the the Mirrorverse.
Right.
What do you think of all that?
Yeah, she seemingly like kind of meandered back and forth between, an awareness, and then other times she wasn't. So I don't exactly know the direction that they're going to go with that. But But and obviously, Eva too. She seems to be kind of a morally flexible and complex character as well. And and I like that. Near the end, you talk about the big fight scene, and she says, why do you keep interrupting my mission? I told you we're on the same side. And he was like, if we're on the same side, give me back my wife. Again, very strong dialogue there.
And also, I thought that as well. But what do you make, Donnie, of the revelation by Eve herself? Her being the copy, like that realization.
Yeah. That's a very interesting thing. I don't know where they're going to go with that too. We've seen many kind of mirror copies, mirror clones, whatever you want to call them, over the years, in the various Flash comics. We know a lot of weird things can happen in the Mirrorverse. So, I like the fact that even as a longtime Flash fan, I can be surprised by this show. I wouldn't like it if I could see everything coming a mile away. I really like the way that they twist and turn type of things. Sometimes there have been characters who have been gender swapped, or they've been given a different background. I haven't minded that from this show. It's a very cohesive show, and I like that a lot. So
yeah, no, that was a real surprise. In that I didn't expect her to be the copy. So that'll be very interesting to see how that wraps up. Again, I find it funny because what does it like? How are we going to know that the Iris eventually makes it out of the Mirrorverse, isn't the copy? I mean, it opens up some legitimate, questions for when that is resolved.
Right.
Right. So, interesting plot point. We'll have to see where it.
They wrapped up some things and they gave us a lot to kind of chew on, but at the same time, there are a lot of big storyline threads that are still hanging out there. And obviously, I mean, that makes us all want to come back next week. So.
And that is the purpose of these kind of little hints and nuggets and new clues, new pieces of information. Mm-hmm. So well done.
I also want to Barry name dropped Clark on the show.
That's right. Yeah. Which is nice. It's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to be very intrigued to see how they handle crossovers, Donnie, because just by virtue of the fact that Superman and Lois has a $2.5 to $3 million budget increase over the other Arrowverse shows, I kind of would rather, when the characters have to cross over to Superman's show.
Right.
Because then they're going to be put on a higher budget, and it's going to look better. Whereas, and I'm not saying the Flash looks bad by any means, but you could see a bit of a difference when you watch the Flash episode and watch Superman and Lois.
And obviously there has been, a bit of taking a step up in terms of the effects. I also have to say, and I realize this is not the story that they were telling, but at one point, they were talking about the Flash not having the speed to stop. What was the bomb thing?
Oh.
I don't exactly remember what they called it or whatever. But obviously they were saying that he can't get to it. He doesn't have a speed, and I was like, all he needs to do is go Clark. And,
really. Yeah, and that's also that's also the balance you have to walk when you're dealing with the shared universe, because we've seen that in the MCU. People say, well, why didn't Tony just call Thor or Captain America or something or whoever, right? So that's the balance you have to walk. But I'd like to see, if you're going to have a massive crossover, have it be done with the Superman and Lois budget in mind. It would be hard. Like, and again, Superman was fine when he was on Supergirl in terms of visuals, but it did, like, when you compare the two now, I don't know that I necessarily want to see Superman on Supergirl. If I have to see Supergirl and him interact, or him and anybody interact, I'd want them to go to his show. Like Diggle, because Diggle is going to his show.
Yeah.
So if Diggle's going to interact, and if by chance he has a green ring with him, a certain green ring that does certain things that you may have a replica of in the back of your room there.
One or two.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that would look a lot better on Superman and Lois than it would on,
Yeah, obviously to do Green Lantern, you're going to need a fair piece of funding to make sure that the CGI looks right.
To do Green Lantern, yeah. So, so we'll have to wait and see. But my recommendation is, if you're going to do the big crossovers, have everybody go to Superman and Lois.
I'm on board with that. Yeah.
That's my recommendation.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the big rescue, the big set piece.
Yeah. Well, that's that's what we were just talking about right there. The CGI there, the visuals were just really amazing.
It's on par. Like I said, once you're used to the Flash and how the Flash looks, it wasn't a step down from the precedent the Flash had set. So I can't again. Are the visuals better on Superman and Lois? Yes, but I can't fault the Flash production for not having the budget of Superman and Lois. So,
well, the Flash has come a long way too, because I've gone back and watched some of the old episodes. You can kind of see it now in retrospect. You can see some of those effects that have obviously had improvements for like season 5, 6, and 7 now, as opposed to season 1.
Absolutely.
Oh, and I definitely want to call out the costume. I really loved not only the way the costume looks, but the effect of, the mask making its way around Barry's face, and encapsulating his face. I also like that they got rid of the one that didn't have the chin piece. I think that's kind of necessary. So
yeah. No, I that aspect of it I absolutely dug. So
I know that has to be a difficult costume to adapt, because there's so much of one color, and it would be very easy for that to look cheap. And so obviously they've experimented to see how they can build it and have it be realistic, but at the same time walk that line with honoring the comics too.
Yeah, certainly. I think they've done a great job with the costume. Like I said, I prefer when it has the chin guard, chin portion.
Yes.
But overall, they've done a great. I've liked aspects of every version of the costume.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm being honest, so.
Well, yeah, even the darker season 1 version. I love
that one.
I got used to that. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I love that one. Yeah, I actually have a statue of that one. A DC Direct statue of that one.
Oh yeah, I've seen that. Oh, that's a nice piece. Yes.
I actually have. It's funny because remember when we saw Crisis and movie Flash and TV Flash shook hands. Mm-hmm. So I did some rearranging in my room, and I put them across, like together beside each other. So I took advantage of that moment. It's now immortalized in my cabinet there, which you can't see. Right. Actually, the only thing you can see is the Flash logo behind. I hope you can see the Flash logo behind me. At least I hope it comes out on video, because I put it there.
I definitely like it. Yeah.
So all I gotta say is, what is it with the Flash saving planes? Isn't this like the second time? That he's done that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's been a lot of vehicles, trains, and things like that in this show. So to see,
I think Grant Gustin has a clause in his contract that he likes Superman so much that he just wants the Flash to save planes. To get that sensation of being Superman.
Works for me.
Yeah. But no, I guess we can. Is there anything else you want to mention, or we can go ahead and rate the episode if not?
No, I guess we're going to get to see more of the Mirror Mistress next week, and they'll continue the storyline. I do expect Iris to get out of the Mirrorverse within a couple of episodes. I don't think they're going to drag that on
Well,
for another entire season.
They said there were 2 episodes involved in the wrap-up of season 6.
Yeah.
So probably by next episode, she'll get out. The end of next episode, beginning of the third.
And I also want to the intro for that they're using for this season. They obviously used it last season too. That is just so amazing. The music, the visuals.
Yeah.
Other than maybe Daredevil's intro, as far as a superhero TV show,
it's
either one of those two. That is my favorite.
You know, Daredevil's my Marvel guy. I mean, it's no secret. So yeah. It's
I also like Luke Cage's intro, but the Flash's one, it's definitely an improvement on the first few seasons. So yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. All right, so let's rate this thing now. I got to keep this straight because Steven and I, when we do it, are doing letter grades for TV.
Okay.
So we're going to do a letter grade. So I got to keep that in my head.
Okay.
Letter grade. All right. So, Donnie, what's your letter grade for season 7, episode 1 of The Flash?
I'm going to give it a solid A. I can't quite give it an A+. I would have liked to seen maybe a little bit more wrap up with some of the other stuff, but as far as all of the acting and the effects, you can definitely see the progression over time of this show building towards something that has really gotten its stride, and it is just an amazing experience. As someone who was reading The Flash back in the 70s and 80s, I never could have dreamed that they would be able to adapt these concepts, these characters, as effectively as they have. So you'll probably hear me say that a lot. If you watch this vidcast, if you listen to the podcast, you will hear me rave about The Flash a lot. I just love the show. So
yeah.
What are your thoughts?
For me, I'm going to give it an A-.
Okay.
I'm in agreement with mostly everything you're saying. The only thing that kind of irked me a little bit was, I get it was meant to be funny, but the Sherlock thing with I mean that was a joke that was played out all of last year. I mean, it's played out by this point.
Okay.
For me, but and it was like really in the midst of that, like we're dealing with now recreating the Speed Force, and now we're stopping to make jokes, so that irked me a little bit. But other than that, I'm in full agreement with you. So good start to good start to the ending of season 6 / beginning of season 7, and
start.
Yes, exactly. We will be tuning in for more episodes of this season. We will be covering, of course, the episodes of the season. So if you want to hear our takes on the Flash TV show, and eventually, more movie news, and of course, getting back to the comics.
Sure.
The vintage comics, or the classics, let's call them. Then continue watching this show or listening to this, or this is this podcast, depending on how you consume this media. So,
please leave comments and questions too.
Indeed, we're happy to answer them or read some of them, provided they're not filled with hate and profanity, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
We'd happily read some on the air if we got some.
We try to keep everything kid friendly.
Yeah, and you never know who's listening, right?
Right.
So that's the only ask that we ask. But we hope you'll be back next time we do this show or any of our other shows. And until then, we hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, also like and subscribe if you're on YouTube, or
definitely
give us a positive rating if you like the show on iTunes and Podbean, because that would help as well. But until next time, remember, the Flash and the Mirror world are forever, from the first set of mirrors to the last. So long, everybody.
So long, everyone.